AEW and New Japan and CMLL and Stardom and whoever else is for Forbidden Door absolutely delivered tonight. Swerve versus Ospreay was insane. Mercedes Moné versus Maya World was absolutely great. We had the big steel cage match and a lot of other great crossover matches throughout this entire show. Let's get into it.
Banger after banger after banger.
Uh-oh.
Yes, boy!
French toast is the exchange student that you have like a 3-week affair with.
Fake. We can see that you don't have pants on.
Somebody hit somebody with a pie. Do something.
Giovanni yelling we're out of time as we go off the air.
Giovanni yelling a lot of things tonight.
And welcome to the Mark It Down podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined by James Asante, who's back. We're back, buddy.
I missed you.
I know you were here last night, but I wasn't, so we're back together.
But you were here on Wednesday, so you were covering it while I couldn't.
Yes, because of your spider bite or whatever. Real ones know. And we are here to review AEW's Forbidden Door, their joint show with New Japan Pro Wrestling, CMLL, and Stardom. And what a show it was.
Oh my God. I know I said it in the cold, but man, banger after banger after banger after banger. When the lowest point of your show is still like a B+,
Yep.
My God. Wow.
And I think that B+, if we're on the same page here, still had an amazing return.
Oh my God, yes.
We'll get into that later. I want to quickly say hello to Maria, who has been waiting patiently, saying the show was amazing. And I'm sure she had a very good time considering who won tonight. And we say hello to Fernando as well. What's going on? We appreciate you guys kicking in with us very early on a now Monday morning here on the East Coast.
We don't need to think about it. We don't need to think about the time.
I don't know about you. I'm already tired. So let's dive straight into, let's start with the main event of the evening, which was the men's Owen Hart tournament final between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland. And right off the bat, James was going to like this because each guy did a DC entrance. Ospreay came out as Bane, mainly Dark Knight Rises Bane,
yep,
with the smoke coming out of his mask and everything.
Oh, darkness was your ally.
And Swerve countered with Lobo gear on a bike.
I know none of you went out to see Supergirl this weekend, but if you did, this cosplay would have hit so much harder. He looked amazing.
I did not get a chance to see it, unfortunately. I am actually very excited for that movie, so I'm going to do my best to go see it.
I am too.
And once again, shout out to Matt, who went to the premiere and ran into Harley and somehow got onto fucking Dynamite on Wednesday.
Without a ticket. The man got on the red carpet without a ticket. I had a ticket. Couldn't go. The man didn't have a ticket. And he makes it to the carpet. God bless.
Matt moves and shakes in ways that we don't know. We say hi to Darius. Welcome on in, dude.
What up, dude?
Forbidden Door was a great pay-per-view. I loved the Death Riders at ringside cheering on Ospreay, and I loved hearing Battle Cry. Hells yes.
But awesome.
And that's what we're about to get into. But let's go through some of the match itself. Early in the match, Swerve exposed the bar section of the ring post. Not the ring post, the turnbuckle, but in between the ring post and the turnbuckle itself. And he was then able to use that to split Ospreay wide fucking open.
There was so much blood that Daniel Day-Lewis is getting ready to make a sequel.
Yes.
My God.
And because I thought Will's was bad. When Swerve got busted open later, it was way worse. To Fernando's point here, did you see the blood dripping from the shoes of Swerve? Yeah.
I saw blood dripping everywhere. I saw blood puddled. I saw blood pooled. There were shots that the camera lingered that usually, not to be graphic with you guys because I know it could be a lot. When there's blood on the mat or on the floor on the outside, you see like a splotch. You see like a stain. This was puddles. This was pooled deep red blood on the floor, leaking, not dripping, leaking from these men. I don't know how Swerve was standing. I really don't understand. Oh my God, these men are gladiators. I said it on Twitter the other day. Swerve and Will are the lifeblood of AEW, and they poured that lifeblood out today.
Quite literally, yes.
Oh my God.
So I was actually going to go into how Swerve got busted open because Swerve went for a swerve stomp on the apron. He missed it, and then Will ended up going for a sunset powerbomb where he flipped out of the ring and went for the sunset flip powerbomb. Swerve countered it, so Will dragged him off of the apron and then tried to go for a Styles Clash. He couldn't hook the leg, so Will just went, fuck it, and swung Swerve around and just chucked him into the steel steps. And that's how Swerve got busted open.
That was a Cesaro move.
Yeah.
I mean, a Claudio move, but I remember Cesaro doing it a lot more than Claudio does. But that was a Claudio move, if I've ever seen it.
Yeah, and honestly, I didn't even think about that. That's a good shout, because a lot of times he does that into the barricade. But, yeah, that was very Claudio-esque. Good call there. And I thought Will clipped the bleeder. Ooh, yeah, as we said. Yeah, Darren's with a good shout here. It looked like a massacre happened there. Absolute crime scene. I mean, they did that whole stair spot right after where they moved it in front of the announce table. Yep. And if you looked at it throughout the match later in it, there's just a huge splotch of red there from Swerve just absolutely gushing. So, woof. Some other great spots in this. We had Swerve counter an Oz Cutter with a dead eye, which was really cool.
It was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And not the only Hangman reference.
Yep. Shortly after Swerve got bloodied up, they had a great sequence where Swerve hit a house call, Will kicked out at 1, Will hit a hidden blade, Swerve kicked out at 1, and then they both took each other out with lariats because they were so shot from each of those blows, which was really, really cool. Towards the end of the match, they kind of had a callback to Ospreay's match against Danielson, where they did the big standoff, and they each went at each other. Ospreay ended up winning that. He hit a hidden blade, and then hit a Stormbreaker, and Swerve ended up kicking out of that, which was pretty fucking crazy.
I would like to. You said one thing. You said the magic words for me. I have to say, we've talked about this a lot on the pod. It's been discussed in wrestling amongst fans and marks forever. Sometimes there's an overabundance of kicking out of finishers or just kickouts in general.
Yeah, a lot of them tonight.
There was a lot of them, but it felt right. It felt like we were getting kickouts of finishers before the 1 count.
Yeah.
Before the ref could get his hand on the mat, we were getting kickouts of finishers. And normally I'm not crazy about the fighting spirit stuff when it's overdone. And arguably, if somebody says it didn't work for them tonight, I'm not going to say they're wrong, but it worked for me. These were two guys that were so hyped up and hopped up on adrenaline and need and desire and destiny that they would not stay down. It worked the entire match for me.
Yeah, and I think the only real 1 count thing was the sequence I mentioned where it was the house call and hidden blade back and forth where they both kicked out at 1. But then immediately they just hit normal lariats and they both fell to the ground and barely beat a 10 count.
Yep.
Like, despite the fact they did kick at 1, they showed how much that took out of both of them.
Absolutely.
So I think it was a very good balance.
It was perfect. It was at the right time. It was at the right spot. And I talked about this again. We covered WWE Night of Champions yesterday, and the main event with Sammy and Cody and Gunther. That was that was a great example of figuring out the right times to kick out of finishers, to get out of finishers, to get out of submissions and stuff. And it was a different way than doing it tonight, but I think both worked. It was for dramatic effect yesterday. This was for adrenaline today.
Yeah.
And both mission accomplished on both ends.
I agree. So after Swerve kicked out of that Stormbreaker, that led to a back and forth, and Ospreay ended up almost running into Paul Turner, and that allowed Swerve to kick him square in the dick, and then hit a Vertebreaker, and Ospreay was able to kick out of that. Swerve followed that with a hidden blade of his own and big pressure, but Ospreay kicked out again. And at this point, Jon Moxley leads the Death Riders out to ringside, and they start hyping up Will like crazy. And Will kind of gets up and he's kneeling down and he's just kind of looking at Swerve like, hit me. And Swerve comes over, hits a house call, and Ospreay just eats it.
Yeah.
He just literally takes it and his head turns and he just stares at Moxley. Yep. And he's like, yeah, I got this.
Commentary pointed out, too, beyond all the training that he had been doing to get better in the ring and to do everything, the major training he had been doing was to keep his neck strong.
Yep.
And his neck...
hold on. That's Roddy's thing.
I think he may have to lease it out a little bit to Ospreay here, but his neck withstood those kicks. He wasn't getting dropped by them. He was standing strong. It was really great.
Yes. Ospreay then gets up, hits a hidden blade, and then he goes to the apron and hits a buckshot hidden blade.
Oh my god! I
did not know was physically possible. By the way.
I always feel so bad for Hangman whenever people steal the buckshot. Like Logan Paul, he's got his own version of it. Yeah. There's a few people that do a variation of it.
A certain person tried it and broke their leg.
Yeah. So I'm always like, guys, just don't do it. Of course, Will Ospreay can figure out a way to not only do it, but give us a cool variation of it. It's not fair. It's not right. Okay? It's just not.
Ospreay is so crazy to me in my head because he's got to be the best wrestler on the planet, and then I look down the roster, I'm like, oh yeah, like Okada and Omega are right there. But
Okada, Omega, Bandido, come on.
Will just has a certain athleticism to him that is just indescribable.
Yeah, and this was a night full of athleticism.
Yes.
Guys, we keep saying banger after banger after banger. There were so many great athletic matches, and I also need to point out every match tonight felt different. No match tonight followed a formula that another match followed at any point tonight. Every match had its own identity. Every outcome felt unique in its own way. These were any match on the night at one point or another could have been an argument for match of the night.
Yeah, there was nothing bad on this card. It was just funny because I don't want to say the buildup was poor, but
we were worried.
I was never worried. It was just, it's always the same thing that happens with AEW pay-per-views. You're like, man, that wasn't the best build. But then you go into the pay-per-view and you watch, you're like, of course, every match absolutely slapped. But I was expecting maybe a slight downtick. Absolutely not tonight.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
This was, we were lucky enough to go to Double or Nothing, and we called that pay-per-view of the year, show of the year, whatever.
We called that one of the greatest pay-per-views they ever did.
And my God, they were like, hold my coffee.
Yeah.
No, I can't. It's hard to keep up.
Yes.
It is hard to keep up.
So, following the buckshot hidden blade and Swerve kicking out, Ospreay then hit a paradigm shift, a Death Rider, and then finally, in the only way this match could have ended, brought back the Tiger Driver 98.
Yeah, it needed to be the Tiger Driver.
Yes, and it always was going to be. And that finally put Swerve down, and Ospreay was able to win the Owen.
Go ahead.
After the match, Ospreay had a long talk with Swerve. I really wish the mics were doing better picking it up. Yeah. I'm going to need John Boy on that immediately.
I've become addicted to watching him on social media.
He's the man.
Yeah,
and of course you like him. He's a huge Yankee fan.
It's not even that. I like anything he does.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm paying more attention with the Yanks, but no, all the time he's great.
No, yeah, shout out to him. He's absolutely phenomenal at what he does. But after the long talk with Swerve left the ring. Also, I can't believe nobody got him a towel.
Right, Jesus.
Because he was still leaking. And then the Death Riders brought in the Owen Cup and the belt to the ring. They lifted Ospreay on their shoulders. They were celebrating. And then they all left the ring and started going to leave through the crowd. Alex Windsor herself, Mrs. Ospreay, comes out. She celebrates with Will. And he kind of looks back and sees the Death Riders go through the crowd. And he walks up with the missus to the top of the ramp. And then
I thought that was important.
One more pose. And then, we end the pay-per-view.
I thought that was really important because I won't lie to you. I love that they were there, but I got nervous for a second. I didn't want them to get involved. And I'm so glad that they didn't. It felt so reminiscent of when the Bullet Club came out when Kenny finally beat Okada.
Yes.
It like that everybody was around the ring and they were all they were all there for him. I love that. Or when the Elite was there for him. It felt very reminiscent of that. Like, we're not getting involved, but we're with you. And I love that. But it's very easy for us to get nervous that he's going to follow the dark path. Granted, they've been skewing a little more babyface than heel lately as a group.
Yeah, even though, Claudio kind of clocked someone with a title on Wednesday, but
skewing more baby
ever so slightly.
But he chose to go with the misses. He didn't go with them.
Yeah.
He still stayed true to the things that are important to him. So it's subtle, but I loved it. And excellent end of the show. It felt like a true celebration. And we were saying this, or at least I was saying it a little bit more than you were, but we were discussing this. I didn't understand why this match went last. I was like, why are they putting this after the cage match? They must be so confident.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because there was a rumor that came out that this was going to close. I think I saw it earlier in the day on Squared Circle, and I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
I immediately knew, like, they got something crazy planned.
I am honored that I got to watch this match live. Like that's like one of the best things I could say about it. It felt like an honor to watch it as it was happening.
Yeah.
It's the type of thing I'm going to remember watching later.
I think the only thing you could one up it with is being there.
Yeah, of course. Fans. Lucky fan. Where was this again?
San Jose. That's why I'm wearing the Sharks unit.
Yeah. So
even
good on them.
Sweating in a hockey sweater in the middle of June, but
you're insane. But I respect it. I respect it. We
Worst
got
part
comments.
I forgot to put my AC on. So, but yes, this was an absolute masterclass, and I am seeing a couple of let's say criticisms.
Yeah. Hold on, before we get into the nitty gritty of it, I did want to just address this one comment because I loved it from Fernando. It looked like Art the Clown got involved in this match. Love where your head's at.
Okay.
Love where your head's at.
That was a reference that went over my head, and I'm glad you were able to pick it up.
That was fantastic, Fernando. Good one. And great question from Derek too. I wonder how much the Swerve headphones are on Shop AEW. They look awesome.
Yeah,
they do look awesome.
I will say this, as somebody who bought the Swerve AI 3s, the Allen Iverson 3s, he has very good crossover merch. And those are only 70, I think they were like $70, which is a pretty good deal for a nice pair of sneakers. So
that is very good.
Some other stuff from Darich here. He was saying the only thing I think we clicked the same thing there, James. Yep. The only thing I hated during the Swerve Ospreay match was the few times Prince Nana got involved. Although he did like that Claudio chased him off because Nana was in the embassy Claudio was in the embassy back in the day.
That's a great callback there, Darich. That was good. I don't hate that he got involved because Swerve's the heel. He is the heel. So it adds to it, and it never felt too much. Like, he threw the coffee at Will. Like, he did small things, but it never felt like it turned the tide. Not truly.
He really only got involved the two times. One was the coffee, and that kind of led to Will getting busted open. And the other one was he grabbed Will's leg when they were fighting up on the steps. But Will ended up hitting the Styles Clash onto the table anyway. Which was a nasty fucking spot.
Arguably, it was when he chased after Nana, and then he turned back into the to the house call kick from the steel
Yes.
steps. That was arguably the biggest contribution he made. But again, none of it was, oh my God, this is how Swerve wins, you know?
Yeah, and I agree with you too, because we saw Swerve using everything he could to win, including underhanded tactics, not just Nana getting involved, but, you know, hitting the low blow later in the match. And Ospreay was still able to overcome.
Yep.
So even though Ospreay kind of went to a point he said he wasn't going to go to anymore when he ended up hitting the Tiger Driver at the end, it still was like, well, Swerve was using insanely underhanded tactics.
Yep.
You just were more violent in the ring, which I think then leads to Maria's comment here, who said, she said, it was an excellent match. I didn't need the match to get so violent. They're both good enough to give us an amazing scientific match. And while I agree with the sentiment there in terms of them being able to put on an amazing match without the violence, I think these two guys are at a point, both character-wise and wanting to get back to the title, where this was going to be that level of violence. They both told each other, like, I will do whatever it takes to run through you to get to Wembley to get a shot at the AEW World Championship.
And none of it felt, arguably it was a lot. You know, I'm not going to deny that, like, wow, this was a bloody, gory match. But in comparison to some of the things that both of these men have been involved in before, we've literally seen stabbed in the mouth. This was just two warriors going to absolute, like, war with one another. To me, this did not. I'm not comparing the two matches, please. But it was reminiscent of WrestleMania 17 Rock Austin, in my opinion, where it's just these two guys are bloodied up. They are taking cheap shots. They are going to war. They're hitting them with everything they got. And yeah, the sight is gruesome. But there was never anything there that it's like, oh my God, what is that? Like, I never got to that point.
Yeah.
So I think this was just a natural kind of violent.
Yeah, it kind of like reminiscent of, and I'm going to make a boxing reference here, like the Gotti Ward fights where they would just punch the hell out of each other for 12 rounds and they would bloody each other up like crazy, but A, that was part of the fight, and B, neither of them ever got knocked out.
Yeah.
So it was just, one of those things. I think part of it too was Swerve absolutely clipping that bleeder that just would not clot.
Yeah, that was rough.
And I made it look a little more violent than it probably actually was, because outside of the two spots where they got, bloodied, where they got split open, this was a fairly, I don't want to say standard match, but it was wrestling moves, you know? It wasn't anything too dirty. It wasn't anything too violent.
This wasn't a hardcore match.
Yeah, exactly. This was a wrestling match. It was just, I put hard hitting in the title because I didn't want to. Yeah, and I also didn't want to, trip the YouTube censor with like violent or something. But this was as violent as a basically standard match you can possibly get, because that's the type of match these guys are going to have, because they both wanted it that bad.
Yeah.
I want to get to Derek's comments here because I saw he's going to take off. So he's saying, watching Ospreay on Mox and Claudio's shoulders was great. It made him tear up. So happy for Will. And he's, like I said, he's going to leave. So he's going to check out the media scrum. Hey, if anything like super important happens, pop it back in the comments and just tell us what happens. And then you can go back to bed. Yeah. And he's very excited for Dynamite this Wednesday on Canada Day. So didn't know Canada Day was Wednesday, but shout out to them. They won their World Cup game today. So in the 92nd minute too, they scored. They won 1-0 over South Africa.
Yeah,
good game, very good game. Been loving the World Cup. Maria with very out of pocket joke here when we were talking about Mrs. Ospreay coming into the ring. They should have smashed the hell out of each other in the middle of the ring,
cleaned each other up.
I think we tried that one time, and both Edge and Lita said they would never do it again. So I think we're good. Maria said Kenny and Zack should have been the main event. This is one of those things where that match could main event any card.
Yeah, seriously.
But it was booked more as one of those like hey guys, you want to see this match? Type of dream matches, which is kind of what Forbidden Door was built on, and that's why it wasn't. That's why it wasn't the main event. It didn't have the build necessarily. It was just more of the we're going to give you this banger because we know you want this banger.
If this was Dynamite, absolute main event. If this was like a New Japan show, absolute main event.
Yeah,
just there were titles and title implications here tonight. You know,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. And hey, it still rocked. Speaking of The Rock, Maria was saying when you mentioned X7, The Rock and also didn't have the athleticism and skills to lean on that Will and Swerve had. And
absolutely.
That's very true. I mean, The Rock, very underrated athlete.
Yes. Yeah. And Austin, when he pre-pile driver.
Yes.
Absolutely could go in the ring. But I was speaking more in terms of the intensity. You know? You could have a submission, two submission guys. You could have Kurt Angle and Hugh who shall not be named. And there's an intensity there. There's Rock Austin. There's an intensity there. There's Okada and Takeshita. There's an intensity there. This was an intensity kind of match.
Yes, and I think too, like, despite the difference in styles and I guess, athleticism, you have that intensity, but you also have the phenomenal in-ring storytelling.
Yeah.
And I think all those matches you mentioned share that in common, where you have that great storytelling, and that's what leads to such a good match. Because we all know, like, you can hit whatever crazy moves you want, and it'd be like, oh, that was crazy, but, like, nothing really happened.
Yeah.
But when you have this type of match where you had all these insane moves, but at the same time, a great story was told, it just ups the ante that much more.
Indeed.
So, 5 stars, 6 in the Tokyo Dome.
I don't know what this comment is for Maria.
Oh, where's that same energy? I believe she meant spear. Nobody did it right except for Goldberg. I maybe that was in reference to us with the buckshot and Will.
Okay. All right. Fair. Okay. All right.
But yeah.
All right. So yeah, I look, I could speak on this match for another hour.
Yes.
I don't think we should, but it was incredible. I loved so many like I loved Will hitting the paradigm shift, the Death Rider. Like, granted, his paradigm shift was we're being generous. But the Death Rider was great.
Yeah.
Fantastic matchup. So many beautiful homages to so many people that were influential to their history and to each other and to themselves. Great showing. And we all knew we were getting here, right? Like, we knew Will Ospreay was going to go to the main event of All In at Wembley.
Yep.
I don't care that it was predictable. When it's that damn good, give me predictable. Give me the story that makes sense. And this makes sense. So Swerve is going to find something to do. I'm still of the belief we're going to get Swerve Mox. That's really what I think we're getting.
I think that makes a whole lot of sense for the Continental. Yeah.
Yeah. I was initially against Swerve going for the Continental because Nana is so important to his matches and to his psychology. I don't care. I don't care. This match is going to fuck.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Swerve Mox feels like such a mega match to have at All In.
Yeah, and that, you think this one was violent.
Oh, goodness. Jesus. All right.
We welcome in Tyler, who is hyped
yes.
for all the wrestling this weekend. All 7 shows. He says he needs to rewatch AEW and the TNA pay-per-views.
I will be covering TNA tomorrow. We will be covering Slammiversary tomorrow. It was a very eventful show. I'm sorry we couldn't cover it today. It's just, there was just so much going on. Life finds a way to get in the way, but we will cover Slammiversary tomorrow. So Tyler, keep that energy for tomorrow. We'll be going on at a decent hour tomorrow. So just be ready for that.
Yeah, I do think he meant AEW here was the best one this weekend, but
yeah,
I've heard there was a lot of good stuff. Apparently, Night of Champions was very good. I didn't have a chance to catch it. I'm going to try to watch it back tomorrow. Or at least Sammy's match. I really want to see.
The whole show was good. Whole show was good.
Yep, you had NXT is Maria. Just shout out to Kendall Gray. She won the NXT Women's Championship. That was on side note. That was on free TV. I think it was on channel.
It was 11. On the CW.
Yeah.
It was on the CW. Yep. It's the first time they've done it, and I think they're going to keep doing it just because of a lot of licensing deals
and counter programming.
Yeah. Well, no, it being on the CW. Because they've been airing them on Peacock for however long, but I think we're just going to be seeing them on the CW instead.
Yeah, and hey, that's cool.
Yeah,
I have an antenna. Also, that's how you know I'm old. I still call it Channel 11. Like I call it CBS is 2, NBC is 4.
Same for me. Same for me.
And it only works in the city. Like their channels are different. Like you go
everywhere.
Maria pointing out here that Cody finishing the story was predictable but great. I think you could say the same thing about Hangman both times when he won the title. We knew he was winning the title, and they were both still great. Yeah, it's not really what matters. It's the story that they're telling and the match that they have. Even if you know the ending, it's the destination.
The journey, not the destination.
Yes, it's a journey, not the destination. There you go. Also, Maria with some James bait here. Will versus Kenny at All In.
I am so conflicted. You have no idea how conflicted I am about this. It's gonna be tough. I will say though, other developments that happened tonight, if we don't get Kenny there is another story that I am very okay with him being involved in for All In instead.
Word. And
we'll get there.
And this is like, I feel like they're like slow playing this. I wouldn't be super surprised if Ospreay wins the title and then slowly turns heel, and by the end of his title reign, he's a heel, and Kenny wins off of him.
See, I would love that. There's someone else that I think is destined to take that title off of him. There are a couple people that I think are more primed to take that title off him. I wouldn't mind Kenny being the one to do it, but with Will being the future and Kenny, not the past, but swaying away from being the now, the present.
In the latter, he's on the back nine.
Yeah. I think Will is going to be the one who needs to win the feud. But we'll talk. We have a lot of time till All In. We have a lot of time.
And we don't have a lot of time tonight, so we're going to move on. I'm going to go in reverse order here and go to Team Briscoe versus Team DCMJF in the steel cage match that they dubbed Death's Door.
First of all, God bless you for getting those letters correct.
Yeah, especially considering, I've had a couple.
Me too.
Hey.
Don't do it.
I didn't. So this was Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin, and Konosuke Takeshita facing off against MJF, Kevin Knight, Jake Doyle, who was the man in this match.
Oh my God.
Andrade El Idolo, Kyle Fletcher, and Kazuchika Okada in a circular cage around the ring.
And ringside.
Yes.
Yeah.
What'd you think about the circle cage there? I thought it was interesting, especially because last year they had the big square cage and it encompassed the ring and ringside. This one, again, circular, and I think maybe they did it because it allowed them to use their normal setup.
Yeah.
And not have to expand the ringside area, and they were able to get their seats where they normally have them.
I'm going to contradict myself a little bit, and I know that just because I'm kind of, I'm all over the place with this. I like the concept of the cage. I like the design of the cage. I don't think this was the match for that cage. I think when you have this many guys in a match, to me, this should have just been blood and guts. Because there were points that I was looking around the ring to be like, where the hell is everybody?
Yeah, right.
There are when Blood and Guts is happening or Hell in a Cell or whatever, I can at least justify not seeing someone on my screen because there's 2 rings around everything. There's a lot going on.
Or like Elimination Chamber. There's a lot of space.
Perfect. Yes, Elimination Chamber is another one. There's a lot of space there. So I can justify, well, okay, I know those two wrestlers are taking a 2-minute breather while the action's going on in the ring. But with the design of this cage, with it being one ring and so many people in the match, it was hard not to acknowledge the fact that there were just points in the match where people aren't doing anything, and I'm scrambling to figure out where they are. So I would have made this blood and guts instead. But to your point, if they were going to make this a cage match the way they did, I think the design of this cage was the way to go, as opposed to a square or a rectangle, because it allowed, like you said, more room to breathe. There was a great moment where Darby and Knight are fighting at the top of the cage, and Knight goes through tables on one side of the ring, and on the other side of the ring, Darby hits a coffin drop. And it would have been way, way tighter if that was a square or a rectangle. But it being round, you could get away with a lot more.
And it wasn't even like they were on like other sides of the cage either. They were just on the turn there.
Yeah, perpendicular to one another.
But it was Darby was on, it was like the right angle there in the corner, and Darby was just on the one side of the corner, and Knight was on the other. Yeah. So, and we'll get into that spot in a minute, but I don't know. I kind of liked it. Like I said, I think it worked logistically very well for the company because they didn't have to alter their setup. Yeah. Again, making, it wider and losing seats to fit probably the cage they used last year. And you still had enough room on the outside to, make a stack of 4 tables or set up whatever you had to do or wanted to do. I wish they used the cage a little bit more. I think that would be my only critique.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed to your point on that, I don't think the cage was inherently designed for people to climb. When you look at WWE cages, there are holes cut.
They had the foot holes
for foot rests and foot stops, and this cage did not seem to have that. Maybe the natural grates were a little bit bigger. But I saw Knight was struggling a little bit to find his footing. And I think if he wasn't the athlete that he is, he would have had a hard time on that cage.
Yeah. Darby, he had a very good hand grip. He just couldn't get his feet into the actual fence. Darby, I knew would be fine. He's a street kid. He knows how to hop wire. He's fine.
Exactly. But it was, I think that may have limited a lot of the talent from utilizing the cage more.
Yeah. I don't even mean that in terms of like guys climbing or anything. I just feel like people weren't like throwing other dudes into the cage, Like Doyle was the guy I think who did it most, but
yeah. Doyle, like you said, one of the MVPs of this match.
Oh, Callis said it at least 10 times.
Oh, goodness.
Don, God bless him, after the entrance. So the MJF team, they came out all wearing the shirts from Wednesday, and they only had the one single entrance with MJF's music. But then Don comes out, he goes to commentary, and he bullies poor Stuart Walker, or Walker Stewart, excuse me, off of the, I don't know how I flip those, off of commentary. And I felt so bad because that guy was great all night.
All right, so I feel worse because up until the second match, because I wasn't really paying attention during the pre-show, even though I watched it.
I thought he was Riccaboni.
I thought it was Riccaboni. And I was like, when all of a sudden he showed up, like they showed him on camera later, I was like, why would they get rid of Riccaboni? And then I realized that I was just wrong, and I confused this poor man.
I, for a split second, thought it was as well. And because they kind of sound a little bit similar. They have kind of similar announcing styles. Yeah. And I was like, is that Riccaboni? I was like, no, I don't think that's Riccaboni. And then I was like, oh, wait, don't they bring the New Japan guy in for these? And Walker's great. Shout out to him.
Incredible work. Incredible dynamic on that table tonight. And it stayed strong even when they brought in Shivani.
Yeah, and that's a tough job with 4 guys there. Yeah. And so, he was able to find his spots. He gets in. He says something poignant, meaningful, advances the story, brings up a good point. Yep. I just off the top of my head, like the dogs match, like they got close to him. He's like, no, I've seen what they do to announcers in New Japan. I'm stepping back. Yep. Or the Mercedes Maya World match, like he got in some great like one-liners about Maya, like overcoming and beating her hero. Like, he did a great job. So I wanted to make sure I got him a shout out. And then he got bullied by that carny piece of shit. On the other hand, Team Briscoe came out. Darby and Takeshita got their own like shortened entrances, but then the conglomeration all came out to Briscoe's music, and everyone had backpacks and a hockey bag. Take note of that. And a quick shout out to Kyle O'Reilly for wearing Big Thomas' shirt.
Yeah.
And I really like Darby gave Kyle his skateboard. He's like, here you go, bud. You take this to the ring for me. So what else happened in this match? We had Team MJF pull out some branded tables because apparently those have made their way to AEW now. But instead of, brands or ads for pieces of meat, it was the Don Callis family brand. And those are the tables that Kevin Knight ended up going through. MJF and Andrade got into it early. They started pushing and shoving. And eventually that got broken up by Okada and I think Doyle. And it was all pretty much because MJF wouldn't let Andrade take his pants off. And I think that makes him the biggest heel on the roster.
I from my vantage point right now, completely agree with that statement.
Cool Kyle pulled out an NES from his backpack and some barbed wire wrapped controllers, and God, I hope those weren't real.
You're throwing away a fortune.
I know. And he also took out a cartridge, blew on it, put it into the NES, and then brained Fletcher with it. And I'm pretty sure that opened him up.
I mean, look, fun fact for you guys. We were never supposed to blow on those cartridges. We were actively hurting our games.
Yes.
We all did it. I did it. I know I did it.
I still do it.
Yeah.
If I'm playing Game Boy, I always, just to make sure. But the thing that did it, it wasn't blowing on the cartridge. It was actually just taking it out. It allowed for a reset. that's
but when you blow on the cartridge, you're actually like...
It gets wet.
No, not just wet. Yes, you're right. But even the little bit of air might dislodge something that's not supposed to be. There's a whole mess of reasons we're not supposed to do it. We all did it. We all did it.
And again, still do.
Yep.
Briscoe had thumbtacks in his backpack, and he dumped them all into the middle of the ring. And, of course, he ended up getting tossed into them by Kyle Fletcher. And he wasn't the only one, because Darby got tossed into them by MJF. But Darby went chest and face first, because he is a sociopath.
What we were just saying, Darby going into the thumbtacks?
Yes.
Second time in 2 days. Did you see what his mom did to him?
Oh, at his wedding? I did not. I saw Brody chopped his dad.
Darby Allin, congratulations on your nuptials yesterday. His mom body slammed him onto thumbtacks on the dance floor.
Jesus. He's the best. He's the best.
I have no desire to ever have that type of wedding. I want a fun one. I don't need that one.
I really hope he's in a new Jackass movie. I really do. After Darby kicked out of MJF's pinfall from the thumbtacks, MJF then got a big ass broom and swept them all to the outside. And shout out Excalibur going, that is definitely the first and only time MJF has done manual labor. Orange then used the broom to low blow MJF. Just classic. And in Orange's backpack was oranges, packed by Willow. And after handing them out and everybody getting their orange slice break, including Bryce Remsburg, they then took Kyle Fletcher, held him down, and Orange squeezed the citric acid into his wound. Which, I'm fucking
sadistic. Sadistic.
Takeshita's backpack had nothing because he went to go into it and was just toying with toying with Okada, and eventually he pulled out a middle finger. And then the hockey bag finally got opened by Okada. And inside was Leo Rush. because somehow Orange basically trapped him and put him inside this bag, and Rush immediately attacked Okada. And then he ran through a bunch of Team MJF, and he capped that off with a big tope suicida to Kevin Knight into the cage. And then he got back in the ring, and there's MJF. Now, Max had put the Dynamite Diamond ring on, and Leo went full Gollum and got obsessed with the ring and followed it like James is doing wherever Max moved his hand. And that distraction allowed Okada to come in and hit a Rainmaker on him. And then Doyle and Knight took Rush, shoved him back into the hockey bag, and then wrapped it with a chain and put him back underneath the ring.
I want to acknowledge that even after the match, they brought the bag to the back and never unchained it.
Yep.
He just brought him back in the bag. I need to acknowledge, we have all been so
confused. Jinx, show me a Coke.
About the booking of Leo Rush since he's debuted this gimmick. We've been confused about the meaning of it. We've been confused about the direction of it. We've been confused about his win-loss record. We've just been confused. But
why he's doing it.
Yeah. But the one thing we haven't been confused about is that the crowd is eating it up. And they've been doing a good job of putting him in spots that work for this. He is so over. He is disgustingly over. And he's doing it by just showing up. And it's insane to me. I said this to you when we texted. It is insane to me that Tony Khan finally figured out how to get the Danhausen stuff working without Danhausen. He did it with Leo Rush of all people instead. I don't know how we got there. I don't know how that happened. But all the things that WWE is doing with Danhausen, Tony and AEW are doing on a smaller scale with Leo. And can you imagine that if he had done this with Danhausen back in the day?
Yeah.
It's nuts to think about. Congratulations to Leo Rush for making this gimmick work somehow. He is a Ring of Honor champion, by the way. He won the title off of AR Fox. He won the
the TV title. Yes. I forgot.
So it's baby steps, but of all the crazy things about this, say what you will about AEW and their characters, their wrestlers, and everything. It's undeniable to say that things tend to skew pretty straightforward with their characters. Even a cowboy like Hangman is just a dude, you know?
Yeah. MJF from the South.
Yeah, MJF, Swerve, great larger than life characters. They're just dudes. This is a gimmick.
Yeah.
This is a lot, and it's working. It's something AEW doesn't have a lot of, and it's fun to see right here.
Yeah, I feel like one of the most gimmick guys in all of AEW is Orange.
Yeah.
And his thing is just he's still just a dude. He's just lazy.
Yeah. So I gotta commend everybody on making this work and figuring out ways to fit him in. If you're gonna fit him in with a group of people, it is the conglomeration.
Yeah.
Arguably, maybe at one point it could have been the Dark Order. But like this is the group for him.
Yeah, especially because they're he's not even part of it. They're just afraid of him, and they just utilized him as a weapon, essentially.
Yes. And he looked good. He was taking out major names.
Yeah. He also had the big back and forth with Andrade.
Yep.
Because he kept going, it's fine. Andrade's like, how you know? And kept going back and forth with that. There was big it's fine chants.
Yeah.
Like
when the person that needs to take you out of the match is Okada.
Yep, with a Rainmaker.
you're okay. You're okay.
Yeah, he's doing pretty well. And for the record, Maria, we understand that Leo is not Danhausen, but I think James is more talking about the fact that it's a gimmick. Yeah. You know, it's a gimmick, a character.
It's a supernatural gimmick.
Yeah,
about a guy who pops up and confuses and scares the heck out of people. And obviously, that's more or less where it ends. One is way more of a comedy, inherently more of a comedy character than the other, but they're both being used for the same reasons. So, it's really interesting to see how this played out.
The biggest difference is Danhausen is undefeated, and I don't think Leo hasn't won a match on AEW television. I don't think.
No.
Although you did just mention he did get the ROH TV title, so
yeah, but that's like winning in NXT. Doesn't count.
Let's see. Let's get some other big spots here. We had Takeshita hit Fletcher with a blue thunder bomb off the apron through a table. That got
always great when he hits it.
Yep.
Always great when he hits that.
And then to get into a little bit what we mentioned earlier, after Knight accidentally hit MJF with a splash, he and Darby climbed up to the top of the cage. Now, Darby had started the match at the top of the cage because he went up there and he left his backpack. So Knight got to the top first, Darby followed, and Knight went over and grabbed Darby's backpack.
Yep.
Which Darby had booby-trapped with an explosive. So when Knight grabbed it, it went off, and he fell off of the cage through the stack of 4 tables too high that somebody had set up.
Yeah.
And he basically got himself taken out of the match. And then, as James mentioned, Darby hit a coffin drop onto a cavalcade of Don Callis family members. Back in the ring, Mark Briscoe then hit a J Driller on MJF, but Doyle came in to break up the pin. And then Doyle started wearing out a chair on Briscoe. And
it was rough. Those were hard shots with that chair.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then he picked up Briscoe so MJF could hit Mark with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. But as he was doing so, Andrade had made his way back into the ring, and he was kind of hanging out in the corner. And MJF saw this, and he goes, Andrade, you hold up Briscoe. And Andrade, obviously kind of got in a bit of a thing with MJF again. And I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll hold him up. And he picks him up. And as MJF starts running in to hit Mark with the Dynamite Diamond Ring, instead, Andrade comes in and hits a Dias de los Muertos and absolutely rocks the shit out of MJF.
Just dropped him.
And then Andrade takes off the Team DC MJF shirt. He takes off the button down he had underneath and reveals a shirt that says, "Fuck Don, fuck MJF."
It's a great shirt.
Yep.
It's a great shirt.
Doyle then started getting into it with Andrade for betraying them. So Andrade just kicked him square in the dick. and then
that was the puntiest of ball kicks I've ever seen.
Yep.
Oh my God. It was like a pendulum. It was just perfectly placed. I felt bad for Doyle.
Yep. Doyle then got grabbed by Briscoe. Mark hit a J Driller, and he pinned Doyle to win the match and get a shot at the AEW World Championship. After the match, as James mentioned, Roddy and Orange dragged the hockey bag to the back with Leo in it. And then we actually quickly went to a backstage interview with Mark, and Lexi Nair asked about his friends helping him get this title shot. And Mark, very hyped up, yells about how he told MJF that he ain't have no friends and that he wasn't going to win. And he's like, I'm not wasting any time. And he calls out his shot to get his title match this Wednesday on Dynamite, which was later made official. So we got that coming up this Wednesday. But James, this was really, it was a very fun match. As Fernando said, a fun plunder match. Did I not click that? I did not. But it was kind of in an interesting spot because it kind of ended up being the cool down,
which is insane.
Yeah, almost kind of like the Stadium Stampede was at Double or Nothing, where this is, one of the biggest matches on the card. It involves your AEW World Champion. It involves somebody getting a title shot. It involves, a plunder match, and it's the cool down.
Yep.
It's mostly just to let everyone kind of laugh everything off following the great women's Owen final and before heading into the great men's Owen final.
I don't know that I don't think I would have ever booked it like this. I'm glad I'm not the booker because it worked. I don't know that it always makes sense because you do at some point run the risk of tiring out your audience. Look, let's be real. For us on the East Coast, it is 2 a.m. right now. The show ended at 1. No, it ended at what? Midnight? No, it ended after midnight.
Yeah, it was around like 12:15, 12:20, I think.
Yeah,
You want me to see when you called me?
It's a tough thing to ask your audience to stay invested after something so hot, after a long show, and so late. And granted, they're on the West Coast; it's a little earlier for them, but still, it's a lot to ask. But Tony pulled it off 2 pay-per-views in a row. Let's see if he goes for the hat trick at Redemption. I doubt it, but let's see if he goes for the hat trick at Redemption. And it speaks to the sickos that go to these shows and the investment in the story. Because, man, there was so much good in this match. So many stories got told. So many people got to shine. Everything worked about this match. This was fun. This was a fun matchup. And I'm glad he didn't put the women after. Not that they wouldn't have been able to turn it around considering how great the match was. But I'm glad that they didn't have to fight to get people back in. So everything here worked. Everything here worked. Hats off to Tony. Hats off to all of these men. Hats off to the men that followed. Everything worked here.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yep.
And I'm glad it was, especially, in a spot like, you called me at 12:52, by the way. So we were a little bit off.
Jesus.
But yeah, I think they did this so smart, especially because I think a lot of us were thinking this was going to be the main event, especially following last year.
I really did, yeah.
Yeah, when the whole Death Riders match with the team led by Will Ospreay was the main event last year in the cage.
Yep.
It kind of made logical sense, but I'm glad that they did it in the order in which they did. So
I think it worked, and I think they could have made an argument for this being the main event beyond it just being the cage. Like, you have a world title implication involved, you have the world champion involved. I think you could have gotten away with it, but I think everything played out exactly the way it should have.
I agree. See, Maria saying, can we see an alliance between Takeshita and Andrade El Idolo? Maybe Speedball gets involved in that as well.
I think the first 2 for sure. I don't know about Speedball.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked, but yeah.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some acknowledgement between Takeshita and Andrade being like, man, Don kind of fucking sucks, huh?
I'm going to put a crisp dollar bill in on RPG Vice joining Andrade and Takeshita. Because they're just getting made fun of on a weekly basis now. They're being ridiculed on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So I really do think that's going to build up to something.
I can see it happening.
Yeah.
Maria's other question, how much cheaper are AEW tickets from WWE tickets?
Depends on the show.
Really does.
Yeah, there are certain instances where AEW tickets are ridiculously cheap.
I bought them for $20 for Dynamite.
Yeah. And
but that was in Bridgeport.
And then there are other instances where the tickets are just as much as anything WWE puts out. Now, granted, WWE tickets right now are at an all-time high that are unsustainable, I think. And I mean, you know what? Maybe. Who the hell knows? The crowds keep going. But it is way more affordable to go to an AEW show, but that doesn't mean they're always going to be cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say this, at least from my experience with AEW, outside of the one time we splurged and ended up getting that box for Full Gear, I don't think I've ever spent more than $65 on an AEW ticket. And I usually end up spending around 40 something.
I probably did when I went to All In last year.
Yeah, but I've never been. Yeah, that was the biggest show. But usually when we have the pay-per-views here or Grand Slam, it's 65 tops.
Yes. When we went to Double or Nothing, granted, we had nosebleeds, but in a very nice build, in a nice arena.
Yeah.
We
good angled center right behind the hard cam.
$40 a ticket. $45 after fees.
And there was a deal too. They were selling for, was it 3 or 4?
I think it was a 4-pack.
I think it was a 4-pack for $45 a piece. So I think AEW, is very properly priced. I'll say that. The WWE, they have been gouging a little bit more of late, and especially when you have some of those like really big shows. Obviously, Cena's last match was an exorbitant amount of money.
Don't want to talk about it.
I think the upcoming show with Madison Square Garden here in the city, I've heard, is pretty expensive because it's the Garden. They always jack those prices up. But I really can't speak too much to WWE prices specifically just because I haven't been to a show in a while.
Yeah. Fair.
All right, let's move things along. I want to talk about the other Owen Hart final, this time on the women's side. So it was Mercedes Moné versus Maya World for their shot to go to Wembley. Another phenomenal match. There's a reason why they had 3 main events tonight.
Yep.
And these women absolutely showed up and showed out. To jump to the end here. So after Mercedes kicked out of a moonsault from Maya actually got in a statement maker. And she had it in pretty tight, but Mercedes was able to get herself towards the bottom rope. So Maya tried to do the thing that Mercedes always does, which is kick off of the rope and roll back through. But as she did so, Mercedes countered and got in a statement maker of her own. So Maya then started crawling to the bottom rope herself, and the crowd was roaring for her to get there.
Oh my God. They were so on her side. Like, they were cheering for her in the beginning. They were cheering for her at the end. Yeah.
And as she got close, Mercedes then transitioned into a pinfall attempt, and Maya was able to kick out. She then countered into a pinfall attempt of her own. Mercedes kicked out of that, but Maya was able to get up onto her feet and try for her fall-away slam into a pinfall. She had hit a couple of those earlier in the match, but instead of sticking with the pin, she hit them repeatedly and actually ended up throwing Mercedes out of the ring. Something that Tony Schiavone mentioned, maybe she should have just pinned her, but we'll get into that in a moment.
Yes, we will.
Mercedes, however, was able to get out of that. She countered, hit the cutthroat backstabber, and then went right into the statement maker. And she got it on a really high angle, and then even got it on a higher angle. And that forced Maya to tap out. Mercedes was able to win the Owen, retain that title belt,
Finally.
and then she now moves on to All In. James, this was a great match, like we just mentioned.
Hold on.
Maria, very happy Mercedes won, obviously.
She's waited. She's earned this.
Yep.
we have to acknowledge her. Incredible matchup, but please continue.
Yeah, what I was going to say was I really like how they kind of played up into Maya not having the big match experience.
Yeah.
You know, like I just mentioned, Schiavone saying, like, hey, you hit all those, fall away slams in a row. Why didn't you actually pin her? It looked like you had her. Or you saw a point where Maya hit a Shining Wizard and she rolled Mercedes the wrong way towards the ropes and she wasn't able to get a pinfall in. So while Maya was more than a game opponent for Mercedes, it was kind of those little things that ended up costing her the match, which I really liked because it looked like she belonged, but she just wasn't quite ready.
First of all, Maya World, I was not familiar with your game. I apologize. Incredible showing.
All because a couple of girls didn't want a job.
No comment at this time. Congratulations on, at this moment, a career showing. A career match. Explosive is the best word, right? Explosive. Yeah. Between
her or the match?
Both, but her, I was speaking to her, but yes, the match was explosive.
She's quite the athlete.
Yes. Giant running boots, giant running drop kicks, the fall away slams, the one through the ropes to the outside.
Yep.
Incredible work. Got to commend her for doing a lot of stuff on the fly. I in no way trying to call her out, but like she had some mishaps. Her hairpiece at one point or another got really messed up. It's why Mercedes threw her out of the ring to give her time. It's why the camera stayed away from her and the referee who was helping her set it up again. Her top got messed up early on in the match.
Yeah, I noticed that. I didn't realize. I was like, why does her gear look weird like that? I was like, did she break something? I didn't see her actually do it. So
the strap was hanging the entire 85% of the match.
Yep.
It's why basically we were just seeing bra the entire time. So she persisted through something that would freak out a lot of other young wrestlers. Something that would psych them out, get in their head, and stress them out. And she worked through it. Now, granted, she had one of the best dance partners you could ask for in Mercedes Moné. But hats off, commendable showing from Maya World. This is an instance where you don't need to win to be the winner.
Yeah.
And Maya World is a winner here because of this showing. I don't know what's next for her. Quite frankly,
think I might do.
I wouldn't be opposed to a TBS title reign soon. But hats off to this young woman. I am so looking forward to seeing what's next for her because she showed up, showed out, and did it as an alternate.
Yeah. An alternate following the untimely and unfortunate death of her brother, too.
Yes.
So this was an incredibly emotional few weeks for her.
Yes.
And she came to play.
Yes.
And she absolutely crushed it.
I know I said TBS, by the way, and I know we're going to go somewhere else with it.
Yep, I was right about to do it.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it yet. But I do want to just say a couple more things about the match. Mercedes is incredible. She...
More to this point, she can make a broomstick look good.
Yeah. Yep. She out and out just hit everything she needed to hit. She controlled this match like a veteran. And she is a vet. She's not, I'm not trying to be like, wow, she's beyond her years or something. No, she is a veteran, but she acted like a veteran. She showed why this is a woman who main evented WrestleMania. She showed why this is a woman who was in the title match at All In. This is a woman who consistently gets her haters to forget how goddamn good she is and remind people she's goddamn CEO. So it was great to watch this match. Maria, I'm very happy for you. I am very much looking forward to her going into All In as the challenger. I got to say, though, she is still very much a heel.
Yeah. But I don't mind heel Thekla versus heel Mercedes because there's such different types of heels, and people will cheer Mercedes even if she's acting heelish.
No, I agree.
But they might cheer Thekla too because
it's Thekla. I love her. And especially tonight, she was amazing. But
yep.
My fear is one of these two women is going to be turned face, and most likely it is going to be Mercedes. And I don't want it to be a half-assed face turn.
Yeah.
I want it to be a legit. Wow, yeah, that's our girl baby face turn. And at this moment, I don't know how they're going to get there.
I don't care. Give me the heel versus heel. Like I think it'd be perfect.
I'm down for it. I'm down for it. I have a feeling Tony's not going to do that.
Fair.
But we'll see. We shall certainly see. Great matchup. Great matchup. And as much as this was a great night for Will Ospreay, this was a great night for Mercedes Moné.
Yes, and for Maya as well.
Yeah.
And I guess on that token, Swerve too. Yeah. But we knew Swerve could do that. Maya, on the other hand, huge coming out party. Absolutely. She really is like a kind of perfect amalgamation of her hero Mercedes and her trainer Athena. Well, you could tell she has a lot of aspects from both of those women that she utilizes in her moveset. Which leads me to the post match because Maria's saying Maya should get a strong singles push after this. Well,
going to.
After the match, we went not really to backstage. It was more like in a tunnel near the floor where Renee was interviewing Athena. And she asked about the match. And Athena says, of course, the better woman won tonight, referencing Mercedes. But Athena says that she is the greatest champion of all time. But when it comes to her pupils, they're filled with constant disappointment and regret. And Athena says...
Somewhere Lexi Nair is crying.
Yeah. Athena says Maya thinks she's championship material because she got a fluke win over her. But Athena says she got lucky following a lapse in judgment. So Maya may call herself the it girl, but it belongs in the back of the line. So, James, does the forever champion finally lose her title in the near future?
I think we finally have someone that it makes sense. Now, I will say, it did make sense at one point or another that it should have been Billy.
Yep.
But that ship has sailed as far as I'm concerned. I actively would be upset if she does it, which is sad because she should have at some point. But we finally have someone that it makes story sense to take the title off of her. And we haven't had that in a while. So I'm all for it. I do want to see Athena break a couple more records before we get there. I think she was gunning for Roman's record.
Yeah.
And I don't know if she's hit it yet or not, but I would like to see that. But I think it's fair to say there's a lot of issues with Ring of Honor and its booking across the board. As great as Athena is as champion, her being champion has really hindered the women's division in Ring of Honor.
I think it's put a ceiling on it, definitely. Because I think the rest of the division has been very good, revolving around the pure title and the TV title and everything. But
speedy recovery to Deonna Purrazzo, by the way.
Yeah, yes, definitely. But in terms of people rising up to the top of the card, they're all immediately beat back down when Athena ends up pulling out another title win out of her ass.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm all for it. I don't know when it'll happen. If it's not an if, it's a when. So let's see. I'm super on board.
Yeah, and I think too, if you kind of look at what Athena said there, where Athena's got to go to the back of the line, don't be surprised if she gets a very good win streak before being able to, finally challenge, and that allows Athena to get whatever records she might, want to get before, or Tony wants her to get before she ends up dropping the title. If it is in fact Maya, which would make sense. Again, Athena did train her. If she wants to really put somebody over and help, make them a star, I think this is a good instance. So, look, considering this tournament, the way it came together, two women who were not initially supposed to be in it, being in the finals and putting on this absolute classic, I don't think you could have done much better, considering the chaos. So just hats off to everyone from, Tony figuring out what to do on the fly to Mercedes and Maya going out there and just putting on an absolute banger. Yep. Maria comparing it to the start of Kofi Mania with Maya.
I mean, there was a lot of pivoting with Kofi Mania too.
Yep.
Kofi was a substitute for Mustafa Ali.
Yep. Oh yeah, Mustafa. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Old habits die hard.
I mean, he was Mustafa Ali back then.
Yes.
He shifted it, but yeah, Mustafa and
he shifted it to the correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
See, we have Maria saying that maybe Mercedes can start defending some of the Stardom talent to shift her baby face.
I can see that being the way they go.
Yeah, especially after what Thekla did tonight after her match with Starlight Kid, which also absolutely slapped. Yeah. Fernando thinks it should be Queen Aminata to beat Athena. A good candidate as well. Let's just say
she would have been at some point. I think she's far more suited to take the pure title off of Deonna.
Or she's got a shot at the TBS coming up.
Yeah,
she did win that qualifier
on
for
Wednesday.
For the survival of the fittest. Is that this Wednesday or is it the Wednesday after?
I thought it was this Wednesday, but now I don't know. But I could have swore it was this upcoming Wednesday.
I do believe you're correct.
Yeah. That means 2 title matches this Wednesday.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, I wouldn't have been opposed at some point, but I think she needs to rack up a few more wins before she gets to world title caliber.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. And I think, she had a bit of a setback there when she got hurt. She kind of lost some time and some momentum. But Aminata still is a great wrestler, and she's a good promo, and I think she will get her title shot eventually, whatever title it may be. All right, let's head to the top of the show. I don't know about you, James. I didn't catch 0 Hour, so I can't speak to it.
I watched a little bit of 0 Hour. I didn't get to pay as much attention as I would have liked, but I will say just very briefly, Divine Dominion versus Thunder Rosa and what was her
It was
name?
Olympia, correct?
Olympia. Wow. One of the best pre-show matches AEW has put on maybe ever. And Olympia absolutely deserves an eye. Like, she deserves a looking at. She was incredible in this. Probably Divine Dominion's best title match.
Yeah, that was something I was very much looking forward to, and I was a little upset I missed it, but I was going to plan on going back and watching the pre-show because that definitely caught my eye. And then the very late announced Daniel Garcia match looked very interesting to me, too.
Yeah, I caught the very tail end of that.
I heard it was pretty good, so I definitely want to go back and catch those. I'll do my best to do so. Although Fernando just said skip 0 hour. But I don't know. I like 0 hour, man. They have some fun stuff on there, at least for me personally.
Yeah.
But getting to the opening match of the evening, we saw the Young Bucks face off against El Sky Team, which was Místico and Máscara Dorada, and Unbound Company's Titán and Shingo Takagi. And this is exactly what I thought it was going to be. Yep. Good flippy shit and Shingo. Yeah.
And commentary acknowledged that they were like, one of these things is not like the other.
Yes. And I don't mean that with any disrespect towards Shingo. I love him a lot, but he was the powerhouse in this match. But speaking of him, to jump to the end here, after he got out, Titán tried to dive off the top rope towards Dorada and Matt Jackson, and they caught him. And then Nick came over and super kicked Dorada and then helped Matt get Titán in position for the pile driver. Matt got to the apron, hit Shingo with the kick, and then hit a TK driver for the win. This is just perfect Bucks PWG style match with a lot more Lucha Libre involved. Lucha Libre! But smart way to open the match. You have all three of the men's side companies represented, and just a fun, fast-paced, high-octane match to get the crowd going.
We often give Nick Jackson a lot of praise here, and we have joked about him being able to go on a singles run. I don't necessarily. He feels like he's operating on another gear lately. Like he's hit another gear, and I'm not saying anything about a singles run, but it needs to be acknowledged how great he's been lately. Matt is doing fantastic too, but there's just something about how Nick's been performing that cannot be understated.
I think part of it is the shift back in character to them, kind of being old school Bucks and being able to do more of the flippy stuff as opposed to their founding fathers run where they're big time heels and were a lot more grounded to try to piss off the crowd. I think the other part of it might be the fact that they also really slimmed down and got back to more of their junior heavyweight weight, or at least it looks like they did. Yeah, and Nick is just moving better.
Yeah, Nick looked cut tonight.
Yeah, but there's a difference between cut and they had gotten big. They had put on muscle mass. And I think they shed a lot of that weight and they're moving a lot better now. But it's not even better, just quicker and crisper.
Yeah.
Back it looks like back when, they were the junior heavyweight champions in New Japan. It feels like that again. Yeah. The Bucks of youth. And I think that's a big part of it. But this, like I said, this is a very fun match to open the show. Couldn't think of a better way to start it off. As Fernando said, it was fun.
Yes, it was.
All right, after that, and I know I kind of breezed through that, but we're going to spend another 20 minutes on this one. Then we stuck with the Elite as Kenny Omega faced off against Zack Sabre Jr. Jump to the end.
Hey.
I'm just going to do the end, and you can talk about it as much as you want, just to go to the end. Zack and Kenny got in a bit of a slap fight. And then Kenny hit a dragon suplex, and he went for the one-winged angel. It was his second attempt on that. Sabre was able to actually counter that by falling into a triangle choke. And Kenny eventually escaped that, hitting a powerbomb. He then grabbed Zack's arms, hit a golden trigger, and then got Zack up and finally hit the one-winged angel and picked up the dub. But, James, this felt like classic Kenny. Him doing the diving, this foot stomp, using the top of the announce desk instead of a table like he usually would in New Japan, and then maniacally laughing into the camera is classic Kenny Omega. That's the Kenny I know. And also, shouts to Kenny, he kicked out of a Zack driver. So
that he did.
He looked great in this match. I was surprised there weren't some more submission attempts from Zack. It felt like he fought more of Kenny's match than his own. Maybe that's part of the reason, part of the story. Like he played into Kenny's, into Kenny's game plan, and that's why Kenny was able to overcome. But definitely, everything I expected from the dream match that was Kenny Omega versus Zack Sabre Jr.
I really love this match beyond my bias for Kenny. I think I love seeing two very different styles clash because
that was Will in the main event. Sorry.
It's 2:43 in the morning.
Yeah, my brain is the last synapses of my brain are like barely connecting.
But it's so great to see such different styles just go at it, and Kenny. A lot of praise needs to be sent towards Zack Sabre Jr., who has upped his game in the last couple of years, has gone from just being the best technical guy to also being just an all-around great performer. All around. And commentary acknowledged that. They really hyped up how he's changed his game up quite a bit over the last couple of years. And I think it showed here that he's capable of doing more than just submissions. And I feel so bad saying that because he's so goddamn good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But he was able to wrestle a far more well-rounded matchup than he would have previously against Kenny. Kenny knew when to strike, knew when to be aggressive. This was a fun showing for both of these guys, more so for Kenny, just because it felt like you said we were getting a little bit of the old Kenny Omega. So I adored this matchup. One of the stories is Kenny is trying to get back on the path to the world title. Commentary made note of that. Commentary made note of the fact that Zack Sabre Jr. said he didn't want to be a stepping stone on Kenny's journey to the AEW world title. Ultimately, he failed in that quest, but Kenny is getting closer to the world title again by pinning a former IWGP world champion. That is no small task. So, excellent match between these guys. This was a back and forth matchup. This was two guys who have a history together, utilizing their styles to try and get the win. Ultimately, Kenny came out on top, but I think it's arguable that on any given night, Zack could have gotten him. There were a couple of pin attempts from Zack where I was like, oh my God, did he get Kenny?
Yep.
And Kenny kicked out and showed why he's the best bout machine. So I really had a lot of fun with this match. Great finish, great fun story between these two. And I am looking forward to what Kenny's got next. And I know there's a lot of speculation about Kenny for redemption, as Maria said. And I'm not going to say no.
It's a possibility, I do think there's a good shot of him getting that title shot because it's in Canada. I don't know what that means for him in terms of maybe winning the title, because we kind of touched upon this on Wednesday, and I know you weren't here, but you were in the comments. Do you want to have Kenny win that title just to pretty much have him only have it for a month and then go into All In and most likely lose to Will at All In?
I'm fine with it. If you're asking me, I'll answer. I don't know if you were being rhetorical, but
I was, but you can.
If we hadn't gotten MJF defending against Kenny already, I'd have been fine with Kenny losing, just getting the match. But we got the match already during this title reign.
Yes.
So, or not this title reign, not this title reign, but technically the previous one that was broken up by the Darby reign. So, you know what? There is something to the idea that MJF has defended against Kenny every time he was champion.
Mm.
I do think that there is something to that, but I do think Kenny kind of needs to get the win. And yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the next time I think Kenny does get a title shot, I feel like he should win. It's just a matter of, do you want to do it against Max? Do you want to do it against Will?
Yeah.
In the future. It's a really tough call, because I do think Kenny should get that second title reign. I think he should have one as a face, because the last time we got it, it was as a heel, especially now, he's come back from his diverticulitis. And like we said before, he's on the back nine. Like, you want to get him at least one more, I would think. And you want to do it while he's still, in good health.
Yeah. I mean, look, I'm never going to say no to an AEW world title reign or any title reign for Kenny Omega. And if he has a Darby-like reign where it's short, but he gets a lot of defenses in and it's memorable, works for me too.
I guess, but is that what you want out of Kenny Omega? Like,
do I want Kenny Omega defending the title on a weekly basis? Yes.
I mean, I guess that's true, but I also don't think you would do that again just right after you did it, So.
I get that, but I think I don't know. It comes down to, what do you think is the match that means more at All In? Do you think it means more to have Kenny versus Will, or do you think it means more to have MJF versus Will? I don't think there's a wrong answer there.
Yeah.
I think within our wrestling bubble, Kenny is a legend. Kenny is a forefather of AEW, and he's going to put on a best bout with Will. But I think the appeal of drawing in some normies who might not have tuned into an AEW show otherwise, but MJF is a name that's starting to catch on with the general public. Maybe you have MJF versus Will.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough
that for
call.
General public.
Yes.
Yeah, God damn it.
It's a tough call. And luckily, I don't have to make those decisions. I just comment on them afterwards.
I just judge you, Tony. I just judge you.
I don't judge, I critique. And honestly, when it comes to Tony, I usually just mostly compliments.
Yeah.
To hit some comments, Maria called this match of the night. And Fernando asking, where do we rank Zack right now in terms of pure wrestling performance?
Are we talking all time or active? Because it's two different lists.
With right now, I'm probably going to go with active, just for the sake of argument. But it's very interesting because he's so good technically. Like, you have to say he is the best technical wrestler going right now.
It's tough because arguably he is the best. Arguably. But there are two names, one who may genuinely be the contender to be the number one guy, and that's Lee Moriarty. Moriarty, the Ring of Honor pure champion, arguably the best pure wrestler, pure technical guy.
Tiger style.
You also have, even though he's not signed anywhere at the moment, but he's killing it on the indies, Jonathan Gresham.
The name I haven't heard in a while.
Yeah. Gresham is a guy who has mixed it up with Sabre and has had some incredible technical classics. So arguably Sabre, just because of the heights that he's reached. But I don't think anybody who says Lee Moriarty could be the guy or should be the guy is going to be wrong there. So it's really just pick your poison, because all are incredible. And, like, if you're going all time, you have Bryan, who is one of the greatest. You have Kurt Angle, who is one of the greatest. You have He Who Shall Not Be Named, who's a monster, but it was good at what he did. So there are a lot of great names on that, but Fernando was clarifying current guy list. So I'd say your top three, and there's no wrong answer: Gresham, Moriarty, Sabre.
Yeah, and shouts to Lee. Like, he's young. Like, the fact that you put him up there in that high regard. Right. I mean, kids really got it.
And if we want to go a little bit deeper, arguably El Grande Americano Original, Chad Gable.
Yep.
Gable is another, like, the guy's an Olympian.
Yeah.
The guy is a literal Olympian. So I think it's user's choice.
Yeah, it's a very solid list. Fernando also throwing out there, fuck it, triple threat, MJF, Will, Kenny, all in.
All right, won't lie. There was a moment during this main event tonight. So sorry. There was a moment during the main event tonight between Swerve and Will where I was like, maybe it's just a fucking draw. Maybe we do get a triple threat between Swerve, Will, and MJF.
Well, Shivani went at one point. He's like, "What happens if both these guys just pass out and can't continue?" And Excalibur's like, "No, we need to have a winner tonight." He was like, "Shut the fuck up, Shivani! Like, we're having a winner."
Tony Khan, shut his ass up. Shut him down.
I mean, I can't really blame Shivani. They both lost so much blood. Like,
it sounds like an excuse.
All right. Speaking of blood, let's move to our next match, which was Jon Moxley versus Bandido for the AEW Continental Championship.
God, this was a car wreck in the best way.
And I bring that up because Moxley pile drove Bandido on the steps, and that busted Bandido open. And then to add insult to injury, Mox teared at his mask.
Just absolutely wrecked it.
Yeah. To jump to the end here, Bandido missed a 21 plex that he was going for. And he missed it in a very unique way because instead of just missing, he kept going and went over Moxley and landed on the apron. And Mox was able to utilize that. And he got in a rear naked choke and dragged Bandido back into the ring. And there was a lot of hand fighting and some maneuvering. And eventually Moxley ended up in the bulldog choke and passed Bandido out to retain his title. And then after the match, Brody King actually came out to check on Bandido to make sure everything was okay. But Moxley actually waved Brody off. And Bandido, I think he first bowed to Moxley. And then Moxley got him up and shook his hand in a show of respect, which at this point is just Moxley putting you over. If you're good enough to hang with Moxley and you get the handshake of approval, that is the best you're going to do right now with Mox. So
and commentary spoke about it. Like, there's no way to gain the respect of a Death Rider than to fight with them and to bleed with them.
Yes. Moxley said, "I don't trust you unless I bleed with you."
Yep. And boy, did Bandido bleed.
Oh yeah.
This I mean, it wasn't quite Swerve or Will levels, but it was bloody. It was bloody.
And especially too, he had the white gear, the white mask, and the crimson red up against it. The juxtaposition just it really popped on the mask. It was a very good visual.
And I this was another instance of you don't always need to be the winner to win. And I think Bandido really did win here. You know, this was a great showing for him. I would like to see him actually get a big win soon because I feel like he's always on the cusp of it.
Yeah.
Same thing with Brody to some extent, but fun matchup. It showed his perseverance. It showed his toughness. He took a beating from Moxley and he fought till the bitter end. So great showing there. Obviously, we're just inching Moxley even closer to the babyface side of things. And I would love to see them run it back for the Ring of Honor title where Bandido gets the win this time. But given
interesting thought.
What?
I said that's an interesting thought. I hadn't really thought about Moxley going for the Ring of Honor title.
I could see him saying, "Well, I beat you, so I get a shot for you."
Yeah.
But and then Bandido's able to pull it out and get the win there. That way, 1-1, both men hold their belts. But either way, fun showing. And I said it earlier in our review, there was a point where every match that was happening felt like it could have been match of the night. And this was incredible. This was incredible. I loved Kenny Zack. I loved the opening tag. Obviously, I loved the matches that came later. But as I was watching this, I was like, wow, they're bringing it.
Bandido, he's just so good.
Yep.
I mean, I'm trying to remember that first one I saw where I was like, oh my God, this guy fucking rules. And I can't remember what it was, but ever since he has come into my life, I've enjoyed everything he has done. He's so damn good.
Yep.
Maria thinks the wrong person won here. She thought Bandido should have won the title. Also, wasn't a fan of the blood. But I do think that is, again, part of, like you said, the Death Riders ethos where you got to bleed with Moxley in order for him to gain your respect. And now, he respects Bandido and he's willing to, I don't want to say put him over, but like he's like, okay, you're the type of dude I want in AEW who's willing to go out there and, bleed buckets in order to win a title. You know, the thing that they were fighting for back when they first started the Death Riders. And I think that's why Moxley has kind of shifted this in his character a little bit, where he has gone slightly more face, just because I think he's really seen the competition level up in AEW. And that's why you see him at the end of a lot of these matches, even in the win, shaking these guys' hands. Yep. You know, you had Kyle O'Reilly, now you have Bandido. You've had a few other guys as well. And this is the AEW Moxley wants. And look, we had to suffer through that title reign, and I know a lot of people had a lot of problems with it. But damn if he wasn't right in the end, because AEW has been clicking on all cylinders. Yeah. Sticking with the Death Riders, our next match was my man Shota Umino defending his IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship against Pac, who not only called him out, but sicked Gabe Kidd on Shooter.
So is Gabe Kidd okay?
New Japan. I don't know. Some people think that he is not healthy enough to compete, but was healthy enough to do the beatdown.
Yeah.
Some people think there might be visa issues, and that's why they sent him to New Japan at the moment, because he just can't get back in the country, which has been going around lately.
Yeah, it wreaked havoc on the show.
Yeah. Maria, we will get to that. I saw your comment. Don't worry. I think we're going to end up closing with that, and we are very hyped. But this match itself, I really very much enjoyed. I will say Shota introduced Chekhov's table pretty early in the match, but eventually Pac basically razor's edged him from the ring to the outside of the table. Just absolutely sent Shooter through it. He then got Shota back in the ring, hit a 450 splash. Shooter kicked, but then Pac got the brutalizer in, and eventually Umino was able to get to the ropes. The ending actually was Shooter hitting a paradigm shift, and then hitting his finisher, which is a Northern Lights bomb that he calls the second chapter.
Yeah.
He ends up winning with that. After the match, Moxley and Marina came out to check on Pac. And shout out to Mox, by the way, had Bandido's blood on his head the rest of the night. Not just for this match, but at the end of the night, too, when he came out with Will. Just still there.
My man does not shower.
Fucking sociopath. After they made sure Pac was okay, Moxley got into the ring, and him and Shooter went nose to nose, and they're kind of staring each other down. And you're trying to figure out what's happening. Mox is kind of talking some shit. Is he happy for him? Is he pissed off? But we never really find out, because the motherfucking ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, comes out and comes down to the ring. And Mox is just like, yeah, I'm not dealing with the president. And he bails out with Pac and Marina. And then Tanahashi took the global championship and put it around Shota's waist and held his hands up to help put him over.
Shota, who just won the title from Andrade 2 weeks ago.
Yes, okay, all right. I was trying to remember who had it. I can't believe I forgot it was my man Andrade. But James, this is the first time I have seen Shooter since his reinvention. There's a reason he's, calling his move the second chapter. I think he had that on one of his knee pads. This was a way better version of Shota than the last one I saw. And I'm very happy for him, because he always clearly had all of the talent, but I think a lot of the fan base, especially in Japan, was kind of rejecting him as a combination of just a very generic wrestler and a Nepo baby. And outside of Moxley, he didn't really have a character. I'm starting to see that character now, and I think he's on a good track moving forward.
It was less so the Nepo baby and lack of character, and it was more so feeling forced. A lot of fans, it was very clear.
Yes, the force thing was well, and I think that's what I kind of meant by Nepo baby.
Yeah, so New Japan had a group of what they were calling the next gen talent.
Yeah, the new Musketeers. Yeah, like Gen 3 Musketeers or whatever.
It was Shota Umino. It was Yota Tsuji. It was Ren Narita. And to a lesser extent, but still there, Yuya Uemura. And everybody was sort of fitting a role. Ren Narita was a heel that was fitting in with House of Torture, and he felt like, you know, the next evil, the next, you know, that kind of guy. Yota Tsuji was very clearly stepping into Tetsuya Naito's role. And, yep. And that left Shota to sort of be pigeonholed to be the next Tanahashi, where he was this pure baby face. We should love you.
White meat, yeah.
White meat, blue chipper baby face. And the fans, even in Japan, just weren't buying it. They didn't like it. It didn't suit him. He didn't know how to be that guy. He didn't know how to be that guy while also being Jon Moxley's protege. He didn't know how to be that guy because there is really only one Tanahashi. And the fans just were not there. And he struggled. He went through loss after loss after loss because New Japan didn't feel comfortable putting him in a bigger position because the crowd wasn't with him. Eventually, he had a reset, and we're seeing now the results of that reset, as you said, and it's working. It was astounding, like truly, as a New Japan fan, to see him come into this match, and the crowd didn't really know how to feel about him. And then by the end of that match, to have the crowd so solidly behind him, they were eating him up by the end of that match. It was an amazing thing to see him get over in real time. So I've always been a big fan of Shota. I have been rooting for him, and I felt bad about his trajectory. I think we're gearing up because this is the second Death Rider he's beaten. I think he beat Claudio already.
Yeah, I think this was a while back. It might have been the same pay-per-view that Kenny faced Gabe Kidd.
It's possible.
I'm pretty sure, because I remember Moxley sent over his emissary of violence, Claudio, to take care of the shooter problem.
So this is his second Death Rider that he's beaten. It's very clear that it's going to be him versus Gabe Kidd at some point soon.
Yeah, and that might take place in New Japan.
And more than likely it will. And the heavy speculation is that we're going to get Shota versus Mox at Wrestle Kingdom.
Hell fucking yes.
And they've been holding off on that match for a very long time. And I think we're at the point where it makes sense for him to do it. It makes sense for the match to happen, and it makes sense for Shota to get the big win over his former mentor. A mentor who seems to still be invested in him, even if he's not necessarily aligned with him. So I'm very excited for this. I thought this was a fun matchup. Pac is Pac. He's always going to be great. He's always going to deliver. And Shota is developing into something special. So fingers crossed they're able to nail the landing on him.
Yeah, man, I always really liked him. I thought, when he was Moxley's protege, he had great comedic timing with Mox. I always think of, because it came up on my feed the other day, during the G1 when Mox lost to Yano, and he's in the back just going off. He's like, "We got fucking Yano'd," and he's just there like, "Well, yeah, it happened to us." And Moxley just ranting about how we're gonna study his ways, we're gonna befriend him, and then we're gonna kick his ass. It's one of the funniest promos ever. And Shooter just standing there, just be like, yeah, we're totally going to do that. It's so good. And to see him come from that, and again, that very generic white meat baby face that the crowds were rejecting, to now this newer version of him, it's great to see that. Did he end up going on excursion? Was that part of this character shift?
No. So he did go on excursion, but it led to the first character, which was sort of the Tanahashi Jr.
Okay.
And he went on that excursion in the UK. He did not have a US excursion, mostly because of just the time frame with COVID and everything going on. He stayed in the UK.
He popped over a little bit with Moxley, especially with the first Forbidden Door, but I don't think he had a full blown. Okay. Yeah. I was wondering if I maybe went on another one, but
no, he was in the UK. Tsuji, I think, went to Mexico. Yuya came to the United States where he had a great tag team with Joe Hendry. Joya. Yeah. Yeah. Joya. And I don't know where Ren Narita went, but yeah, so he had his time. I would love to see him have a run in the United States. I don't think with his rise in New Japan, he's going to do it anytime soon.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to see. And it's partially why the Mox Shota feud or match has taken so long to happen. Because there just hasn't been a lot of crossover with Mox in Japan and Shota here in the States. So
yeah. I think it's probably a combination of that and Shota taking a little bit more time than they expected to get over.
Yeah.
But it looks like he's on the right path. I'm very happy for him, and he put on an absolute great performance tonight with Pat.
Yes.
Shout out my man Red Shoes. All right.
2 more matches. Come on.
Yeah, 2 more. Next up, we had Thekla versus Starlight Kid for the AEW Women's World Championship. Obvious bangers. Obvious. We had Stardom President Taro Okada at ringside.
Poor bastard.
Yes. Thekla has been making that man's life hell. She's
for years at this point.
Yes, but especially recently, she tried to shave his head.
Yep.
And we talked about the promo she cut afterwards. She was literally getting dragged out of the building in Japan. Starlight came out with a very cool overmask, as Excalibur described it, inspired by Juice and Thunder Liger, which was really cool. Thekla, has some dope-ass fire twirlers because it's Thekla and she's awesome. And she survived some crazy shit in this match.
She did.
She got put in Starlight's numero dos submission, and then fucking Starlight was just like, oh, really? That's not enough? And just spun her around and tossed her out of it. Thekla got dumped on her head. She survived a moonsault press where Starlight basically landed her knees directly into Tekla's midsection. Just absolutely got her ass kicked. But eventually, Thekla was able to find an opening when she hit the spider pose in order to duck a Starlight lariat. And then Thekla hit a spear and a stomp. And then she pulled up Starlight and just screamed at her and then hit another stomp. And eventually that was able to retain her title. And then after the match, Julia Hart and Sky Blue came down. They gave Thekla a pair of scissors. She used those to cut Starlight's mask off. Shout out my man Rick Knox immediately coming in with a towel.
Rushed that towel.
Yep.
Rushed it.
And then Thekla went over with the mask and just beat the fuck out of Okada with it. Poor dude. But James,
he sold it like a champion.
Yes. This was pure Stardom match. Like absolute Joshi banger. Yep. I loved every second of this. And I don't want to look ahead too much yet, so I'm going to let you talk about it, but remind me because it's telling me is All In's going to be mad good.
It's weird because obviously Tekla's the bad guy. Obviously Thekla has a vendetta, but there's a part of me that sympathizes with her because she felt she just wasn't given opportunities because she didn't fit a mold in Japan.
Kayfabe, right?
Yeah, kayfabe. I mean, to a point, she did legitimately get fired from Stardom. That's not a storyline. She was legitimately fired from Stardom.
Okay, I just thought that was a work.
No, she was fired. So
she didn't actually assault him, though, did she?
No. But she left Stardom, and it's cool to see, at least from a kayfabe standpoint. It's hard to root against her when she is trying to do right by herself in this instance. Obviously, she does it in the most heelish way. Obviously, she does it in a way that's not becoming of a hero, but she is still fighting for herself here. So it was a little bit harder for me to straight up boo her. I don't have a lot of experience with Starlight Kid, but she killed it. I immediately am a fan. She was incredible. And I think it was a great back and forth between what felt like an obvious hero character in Starlight Kid and an obvious villain, as sympathetic as she may be in this instance, with Thekla. And Thekla did what Thekla does. She was explosive. She was resilient. She was like a spider in the sense she never let go of her prey, it felt like.
Yeah.
She was always climbing on top of her, and she was always catching her. Yeah.
Sorry, it's late.
Okay. So this was a fun matchup. I think of any of the matches that had probably a tough time with the time slot they had, this was probably the one that got hurt the most time slot wise, like smack dab in the middle of the show. But it was still very, very, very good. And I'm going to go with what Maria said. I do think the Stardom route is the way to get Mercedes cheered against Thekla, to make her the baby face against Thekla.
Yeah, because I'm telling you again, if you go heel versus heel, I think you're gonna get people booing and cheering both of them.
I think it's possible, yeah.
Because I at this point I refuse to boo Thekla. I don't care what she does. She's gonna have to shoot a puppy and set it on fire to get me to boo her. Like, she's so fucking cool. So, I mean, it was such a good fucking match. And I think you kind of see, with Thekla, and you kind of popped it in my head there, where she is very spider-like in the ring, where she just kind of latches, her teeth in and just slowly poisons you until you make a mistake and then hits you and finally takes you out. And that's the type of match she wrestles. Kind of, I don't want to say she counter wrestles like Jay White does, but it's very similar where she wants to take you into the deep water.
Yeah.
And she's willing to take some shots in order to do so.
Yeah.
But Fernando saying that Starlight was his breakout star of the night. I have heard of her. I've seen clips of her on Squared Circle. She's people who watch Stardom and, comment over there are very high on her. So I was expecting big things, but this is my first real experience with her outside of highlights. Absolutely 100% delivered.
Yep.
And this is why I'm excited now for All In, because we know the formula. Mercedes plus Joshi equals banger. Thekla plus Joshi also equals banger. So I'm fairly certain, because she obviously has all that experience. So I'm fairly certain at All In, Mercedes plus Thekla is just going to be a Stardom match, which is going to be an absolute fucking banger.
We can only hope.
I am so excited for that match now. Do not fuck this up, Tony. Make that the match. Thekla does not lose this title before then.
I need to get off screen for a second. I'll be right back. Start talking about the match. I will be right back.
Yes, the final match we have to cover is the tag team title match. So just so you are aware when you come back. And that match was Adam Copeland and Christian Cage facing off against the Dogs, Clark Connors, and Dave Finlay. So, couple of spots here. You had Connors during the middle of the match light an actual match and put it out on Christian's forehead, which was crazy. But then that shortly thereafter led to Christian using an eye poke to get the hot tag to Copeland, which I thought was just absolutely perfect from Christian. To get towards the end of the match here, following a pop-up spear where Cope was able to pop up Finlay into a cage spear, Connors rushed into the ring and actually shoved Christian into the ref in order to break the count. Cope and Connors then looked at each other, went into a couple of corners, and they had a Wild West showdown with their spears, basically spearing each other, meeting in the middle of the ring, and they took each other out. With the referee down, that allowed Finlay to go into the ring and find his shillelagh. And he grabbed that and absolutely brained Christian with it before he was going to turn it on Copeland. However, at that point, the lights went out. And when they came back on, you had one spotlight on the stage with the Bang Bang Gang up there. You had Juice Robinson, you had the Guns, you had my man Ace Austin. And then that led to the lights going back out. And when they came back on, motherfucking Jay White, the Switchblade himself, King Switch, was in the ring behind Finlay. And he came in, ducked the shot from the shillelagh, and hit the Blade Runner and left him to Adam Copeland, who absolutely destroyed Finlay with the spear and pinned Finlay to retain their titles as the referee came to and was able to make the counts. After the match, White grabbed the titles from the timekeeper's area. He came into the ring. He gave Cope his, and actually Christian, who was coming to following the Shillelagh hit, was given his title by Switch. But Christian wasn't too happy to see White, as opposed to Cope, who hugged him.
Yep.
And White and Christian had a few words, and Cope was like, dude, come on, help us out. Like, calm down. And eventually White was just like, you know what? Fine. Like, you guys enjoy your moment. I'm going to go celebrate with my boys. And celebrate they did. Because they were going hard up on the ramp as Cope and Cage had their titles in the ring. So, James, this is a very good match.
Yes.
This might have been, quote unquote, the worst match of the evening.
And it's not fair. It was a really enjoyable match.
Because, it was very, very good. But like you said, at worst, this was a B+ match. It was just surrounded by a bunch of A's and S's.
Yep.
So, and even then, you had the return, the long awaited return of motherfucking Switchblade Jay White, coming back and screwing over that usurper Finlay to get his revenge. And especially on a fucking New Japan branded show where they can say he fucked Jay at a Bullet Club. It was so nice to see him back. We were both bugging the fuck out.
Right.
So this was it was a really, really good match. And then Jay was just a cherry on top.
I have been waiting for Jay to come back for so long that I don't want to say I gave up on waiting for it, but I had just been so broken down waiting, and his teasing for months, pay-per-view after pay-per-view. It was one of those things that I accepted when it would happen. But oh man, I was so happy to see him. I cannot wait for this fully formed
Bang Bang
Gang. I cannot wait to see him interacting with Ace. I can't wait to see this full unit feel full again. Have the Guns be the Guns. Have them more active in the tag division. Have Juice be a mid-card guy. Have Ace be a mid-card guy who's on the rise.
Upper mid-card. Sorry, Juice. Sorry, yeah. And Juice, even then, I think upper mid-card.
Yeah.
You know?
And have Jay be your main eventer. Have him go for a title out the gate. Have him win a title ASAP.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they dealt with the dogs a little bit first, you know.
So, which is intriguing because there's obviously a numbers disparity here.
Yes.
And we have been discussing the fact that the dogs need members. So, I don't know what the plan is. But we're looking at 5-on-2 right now.
Yeah, at best 3 if Kid can get back in the country.
Exactly. So, either way, that's 2 men down. It might not hurt them to get a genuine tag team in that group. Like there's obviously Connors and Finlay are doing a good job as a team, but they're not a tag team, and they're not gonna be a tag team.
Yeah.
So I maybe introducing a new team would be good for them. Maybe a certain machine gun team. Maybe. Ooh, I don't know. But either way, I'm very, very excited for... Look, I said it before. I obviously would love to see Kenny in the main event at All In going against Will. But if he's not, if you want to get a full-on Bullet Club Civil War going, you have the Bang Bang Gang, you have the Dogs, you have the Elite. Fucking do it.
Wait, what? 3-way 9-man? Like,
oh God. Well, how would you do it? You do Kenny and the Bucks versus what combination of Bang Bang Gang?
I guess in theory, you would technically, if you want to do guys who are actually in Bullet Club, it would have to be Jay, Juice, and technically Ace.
That's nuts. That's nuts.
The guns weren't in Bullet Club. Ace was.
I would do balls to the wall, 5-on-5-on-5. I'd have Kenny, the Bucks, Hanger,
Ooh.
and I guess Jack.
Yeah. Oh, he was House of Torture, which was technically Bullet Club, right?
We don't talk about it. By the time he joined House of Torture, I'm pretty sure they had split up from Bullet Club. Either way, we don't talk about that time period. Full on Bang Bang Gang, and then the three of the dogs mixed with whatever combo of tag team you want to put in, which is why I was saying the Machine Guns, because they would be such a good counter to the Bucks.
Yeah.
But either way, I am very, 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 very excited at that notion. But more than anything, I'm just happy he's back. And just to talk about the match very, very briefly, it was a fun matchup. They did a great job of targeting Christian. You know, they looked smart. They looked methodical.
Dude, they put a match out on his forehead.
They looked smart. They looked methodical. I will say, and I'm going to be a real hater here, I hate the double spear spot.
Okay, I was curious how you felt about that. It did look... It was a little weird, especially because it had ended up not happening again later, but the fact that you had
it got done better.
those Wild West showdowns on the same card, and it was done better in the last one because that was also a callback to the Danielson match with Ospreay.
Yes.
Like, and I get the spear versus spear thing, but nobody won. You just both shoulder checked each other, and you're lucky you didn't dislocate one.
And that's my thing. Twofold. One, it never looks good. I've seen multiple spear versus spears. It never looks the way you hope it'll look. It just doesn't. And two, it's actually a very dangerous spot.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're lucky one of them didn't pop shoulder.
Batista did it years ago. I don't even remember against who. It might have been Edge. And he got so bloodied. They like clunked heads. And Batista got so bloodied. And I've seen it multiple times over the years, and it's just never a great spot. I understand why they did it. You have two guys who hit spears. I do get it. Shouldn't be done.
Fair.
But otherwise, fun matchup, and Jay White's back. That's all that matters. Jay White is back.
Yep. Maria, very excited about that. I know she mentioned that earlier. Like I said, we were going to get around to it. Fernando with a good question. Which title picture does Jay White fit into right now?
Realistically, none. Like, you could do it in multiple ways. So if you want to have Jay take the TNT title off of Kevin Knight, you have the guys from Bang Bang Gang that are more than enough to like be a good block or a good counter to the Don Callis family. A good foil. If you want to have him go for the national title, sure. Like, it doesn't
kind of feels beneath him, right?
I mean, but that's another reason maybe putting it on him could elevate that belt.
Yeah.
But
Davis still has it, I presume.
Yeah.
Although we haven't seen him in a while, so
it's got a good lineage so far.
Yeah.
The first champion was Ricochet,
I believe. But for more or less, it's been him, Jack, and Davis. Like,
yeah. So it's got a good lineage, so he could elevate it. The Continental title, I wouldn't put him against Mox right now.
I agree.
I don't think that's really a benefit.
I could see him facing Takeshita for the international, but like I just don't see Takeshita losing that match.
And I just don't see. I don't think they're gonna want to risk babyface versus babyface when Jay is so easy to boo in the first place.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't do it. Truth be told, I would love for him to be the guy to take the title off Ospreay eventually.
Yeah, I'm down for that because that match I think absolutely has to happen in general.
Yes. I think there is a great world, a really fun world where the Guns get the tag titles back and Jay, Juice, and Ace get the trios titles. And every member of Bang Bang Gang has a tag title.
That'd be fun.
I think there's a very real fun world where you could do that, even if it's for a brief period of time. So we'll see. But I think 2027 we will see Jay White as world champion.
I very much hope so.
Yeah.
Because he is just the man. Also, Fernando with another question. Bigger impact in wrestling, Bloodline, or Bullet Club? It's
You're
Bullet
trying
Club.
to get us in trouble. You're trying to get us in trouble.
It's not even close. We're literally sitting here talking about a company that exists just because Bullet Club is a thing.
That is not a knock on Bloodline, but Bloodline is obviously hit crazy heights. Roman has main evented WrestleMania multiple times. It's elevated a smaller group of people.
Yes. And we have Sammy Uso.
Yes. But Bullet Club has provided multiple world champions across multiple companies. Bullet Club has given us Finn Balor. Bullet Club has elevated AJ Styles. Bullet Club has given us Kenny Omega. Bullet Club has given us Jay White. Bullet Club has given us the Young Bucks. Obviously, all of them had careers prior to Bullet Club, but all of them reached new heights because of it. Cody Rhodes rejuvenated himself with Bullet Club. Hangman Adam Page got his start not as a wrestler, but as someone to take seriously because of Bullet Club. Adam Cole, Bullet Club. So many, I mean, obviously on a much smaller level right now, Dave Finlay, Bullet Club.
Yeah.
It is a group that has spawned subgroups across multiple companies. At one point or another, WWE had an offshoot of Bullet Club. TNA had an offshoot of Bullet Club. AEW had an offshoot of Bullet Club.
AEW is an offshoot of Bullet Club.
Yes. So I think as far as reach, Bullet Club, bigger impact. I remember vividly in the late 2010s, Bullet Club shirts being out on the street.
Oh yeah, when they got in the Hot Topic.
When they got into Hot Topic, they were everywhere in a way that I hadn't seen wrestling shirts be worn since Austin 316 or NWO or DX. So I don't think this is bias. I just think Bullet Club reached far further than Bloodline ever did.
Yeah, honestly, I think the question is really more Bullet Club or NWO, personally.
Yeah.
But
and even
one
though
yeah, because one is kind of like the spiritual succession of the other.
Yeah.
So
Bullet Club does not exist without NWO.
Exactly.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, they even throw the Too Sweet up and everything, you know?
All in all, two very different groups that accomplished a lot in different areas in different ways.
Yeah. I think we're not trying to knock the Bloodline here. It's just they had their lane. If you want to talk about them being one of the most successful factions of all time in WWE, I think you can probably make that argument, mostly based off the back of Roman. Although the Usos obviously did more than their fair share.
Longest title reign,
holding those tag titles and everything. But like you said, the extent to which Bullet Club impacted the wrestling business as a whole, not just one company, not just a select handful of people, but just like you said, WWE, New Japan, AEW literally existing because of it, TNA, the countless indies that it touched. I mean, heck, I have a main event Bullet Club shirt because I think they were facing ABC, if I remember correctly. So just the impact it has had, no pun intended, on the wrestling industry all over the world is unparalleled, I think, outside of, again, maybe NWO, but even then, that was it impacted two companies in New Japan a little bit because they got fake Sting.
I think culturally NWO is bigger, but Bullet Club has, I think, accomplished more positives for the business than the NWO did.
Yeah, including killing it because of the Young Bucks. All right, James, that was Forbidden Door, and it's late. So I guess a couple of quick thoughts here on what was an absolutely amazing show.
Love the show. No, nothing bad to say. Not a single bad word. This was an incredible weekend for wrestling between WWE, between AEW, between TNA, and obviously all the companies that were associated with AEW tonight. New Japan, Stardom, CMLL. This was just a great, great weekend of professional wrestling. As I said already, I'm going to cover Slammiversary tomorrow. So be prepared for that, guys. That'll be fun to talk about. And I love tonight. AEW has a clear path to All In. We have our two top contenders in Will Ospreay and Mercedes Moné. We have to see who the champions will be by the time we get there. But
don't fuck up Thekla, Tony. I swear to God.
I am excited for AEW right now.
Yeah, I think this show was another example of, guys, even if the build isn't great, just trust they're going to put on an absolute fucking banger of a pay-per-view. And I still thought a lot of these builds were very good, but I know some people were a little on the fence or didn't necessarily like everything that was coming through or coming down the pipeline. But every match here tonight hit.
Yeah.
Everything. Like, these are all 4.5s and up, outside of maybe the tag team title match, which, again, was probably a minimum of 4. So, just top to bottom, just a great card. I was going to say one of the best, and I was like, didn't we just did that with Double or Nothing? Like, how do you follow up that? You do this. So I know I've used this phrase already tonight, but AEW just continues to fire on all cylinders, especially on the pay-per-views. It makes it worth every penny, I think, buying them every month. Although maybe at this point I should get my AEW account and hopefully, it's a little more $9.99 and you get the pay-per-view a month, but we'll see what happens. But either way, absolutely worth every penny I spent on it, and worth staying up this late to not just watch it, but cover it as well.
Yes.
All right. And on that note, I would like to thank everyone so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. We appreciate it if you'd like to subscribe. If you like the video, let us know that you're enjoying what we're doing here on the show, and we can keep doing it. And, if you want to see something different or, change the, have some constructive criticism for us, leave a comment, let us know, and, we'll take it into consideration. If you subscribe, you can also continue to get all the great stuff here on the pod. As James mentioned, he will be covering TNA Slammiversary tomorrow afternoon. Hell, maybe we'll even do Raw and have fun with it, considering the great weekend that we had in wrestling. Obviously, we'll be back on Wednesday for Dynamite. We're here every week for that. Got the Gym Pack Zone on Thursday with James for your weekly Impact news, and we do our best to cover as many pay-per-views as we can from as many companies as we can. If you want to follow us on some social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Blue Sky, those links are in the description below here on YouTube. If you're watching us over somewhere else, want to follow us in a few places. Twitter's at @marketdown_pod. Instagram is at marketdownpod. YouTube.com/marketdown3665 or /@marketdownpod. Marketdownpod.bsky.social if you want to kick it with me on Blue Sky, where I just yell about Thekla being awesome. Or just search Market Down Podcast on any of your social media platforms. You'll likely find us. If not, let us know, and we'll sign up there, and we can keep you guys over there. Any final thoughts, James, before we go to bed?
Great night. Thank you for being with us. Tomorrow, Matt and I will be at the tapings for Produce Wrestling. It's got a very fun card. A lot of people that were wrestling tonight will be there tomorrow. So get ready. We're going to have a lot of social media coverage on that. We'll probably end up doing a review on Tuesday, more than likely. And we are likely doing an interview with the owner of the company. So we will be ready for that. Stay tuned. Getting a lot of extra content from us coming up. And can't wait to talk with you guys.
Yeah, so definitely hop on the socials and subscribe. Make sure you catch all that great stuff from James and Matt coming out later this week. So for James Asante, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. Have a good one, everyone. Go get some sleep.